This episode of Voiceover Par Charcha is powered by voicesbazaar.com, India's premium audio agency.
When we hear our voice for the first time on the mic, it's a different sound. Now, after all these years, we are used to our sound on the mic. I like my sound on the mic. But when the first time you hear it, you say, ye aadmi kaun hai? That was also so good to work with that. I've done Marvel Wastelanders with him. I've done Black Widow. Within the voice industry, I'm always considered a voiceover guy. You know, I can never play my actor who within the voice industry because I started at the same time. So from studio engineers to everybody, they all know me, as a voice professional. He said he was, he put up a post the other day saying that he was driving and just put the radio on and he heard an ad with his voice that he hadn't voiced. It changed life. I think it changed the voicing industry in India. It also changed voicing in general because the whole world said, hum paisa kaise bana sakte hain? I'll become a voiceover artist.
So welcome to another episode of Voiceover Par Charcha. This is the pilot episode of the year 2024 and a super special episode. In this episode, we have a legendary voice artist who has lent his voice to thousands of commercials, brands in terms of voice acting. The English voice of Saif Ali Khan in Sacred Games, the web series The Sacred Games, and the Hindi voice of the Professor in Money Heist. Apart from this, an iconic Bollywood actor. Famous movies like Lage Raho Munna Bhai, fashion and web series recently seen in Rana, Naidu. So to my viewers, to my listeners, to my subscribers, it's a great honor, it's a pride, it's a privilege to have the one and only Mr. Ashwin Mushran on Voiceover Par Charcha. So sir, आपका बहुत 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 स्वागत है Voiceover Par Charcha में.
Dhanyawad Harsh, thank you. Are you sure you're talking about the same person here with that introduction?
Yeah,
I'm looking at somebody else,
Oh my God.
Doesn't sound like me, but that's very kind of you to say. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so sir, I just want to know about, first of all, we want to start off with this particular aspect कि आपकी voicing में शुरुआत कैसी हुई थी apart from your, जैसे आपका acting में जैसे तरह से debut हुआ, तो voicing में कैसी शुरुआत हुई थी?
वो एक्चुअली दोनों वो शुरुआत तो it was at the same time क्योंकि मैं लंदन से वापस आया था at that time and I'd started doing rounds, auditioning, acting and all that, and usi time pe, around the same time I started shooting for my first ads and all that, usi time pe I also fell into voicing. But I always say I'm also an accidental voice artist. In fact, I think almost everybody in the voice industry, everybody I think is an accidental voiceover professional. Nobody, I think, actually from Indians, hum bana chahte hain lawyers, engineers. It's still like that, in the minds of people. Good government job, salary job, of course. Abhi startup, sab kuch hai. I mean, IT sector, everything is there. But voicing is something people I think they just fall into. It's not something that is planned. I don't think anybody has said, I want to be a voiceover actor. I don't think anybody has ever said that. It is just something that happens. और ये profession में मतलब professional training ऐसा नहीं है. All of us, we've all learned on the go, on the job. The work is the study and the training. Because when you start, we all suck. We're all so bad when we start. It's the truth. If you hear the audio, मतलब जो सालों पहले ऑडियो जो किया था, you go, मतलब ये क्या है? What did I record? And now, of course, years later, when you've learned a few things, you're like, this doesn't sound too bad. But yeah, so it happened purely accidentally कि मैं एक ad के लिए मैं shoot कर रहा था. And director जो था, and I'll always take his name was Rajesh Sathi from Kerosene Films, who actually launched me in the voice business because he says, आवाज अच्छी है. He said, would you like to, do a couple of lines? I had no idea, मतलब क्या करना है, mic cross, blow, pop, ये सब, no idea. And I did that. And he said, I like your voice. And in those days, सारे जो प्रोडक्शन हाउसेस थे वो फेमस स्टूडियोज में थे. Famous studios in Mahalakshmi, everybody was there. all the production house. That was the place. हम सब वहाँ पर auditions के लिए भी जाते थे acting के लिए. There used to be lines of people outside studios, different production houses for ads, films, things like that. And he took me to all the production houses around famous studio, and he said, "This is Ashwin Mushran." He said, "Why don't you give him a shot?" So all of us need that one person who gives you that little bit of help so you can move forward. It's very difficult to do it by your own. You can never do anything by your own. There always have to be people around you who give you that help and support. And somebody like that really did that. And it took a long time. In those days, also breaking into English voicing was very difficult because there was a very, very set group of people. From Ninad Kamath to P.P. Bajaj to Rags Khote, there was TC, a guy called Theron, who still does a lot of voicing, and all these guys. Chetan Shashital, of course, as well. I used to see him going to the studio, and all these guys were very nice to me. They didn't treat me badly then. They didn't treat me as competition, or at least I would like to. They'd probably look at me and said, "Ye to competition nahi, ye to theek hai," and Ninad was also really, really nice. Once he was there recording, and he also, I remember, he may not remember, but he stayed on to listen to me, and he gave me a few pointers, and he said, "Aisa karna hai, aisa nahi karna hai, try this." And I thought that was, that was really nice of him, and I also try and do that with other people as well. I'm as nice as possible, nice as I possibly can to newer people, because walking to the studio for the first time, when we hear our voice for the first time on the mic, it's never, it's a different sound. Now, after all these years, we are used to our sound on the mic. I like my sound on the mic, but when the first time you hear it, you say, ye aadmi kaun hai? It's not the same person as me because it's sounding so different. Yes. Speaking on the mic and speaking like this conversationally are two totally different things. In those days, we used to walk in with our bill books. We used to walk in with our bill books, and we had all the, or these guys used to walk in with bill books, and I used to see them, job khatam karte the, and they used to pull out this book and invoice. I'm like, wow. That's so cool. Yeah, aapka invoice, check de do. All these guys were like that. Yeah. So I remember P.P. Bajaj also gave me his invoice and gave me his invoice format, which I still base my stuff on today. I mean, in our days, we had to print all our invoice books, and the front was all invoicing. The back was all the terms and conditions and legal requirements and all that if you're signing up. So all these guys were kind enough to do that for me. And I appreciate that. And slowly over a period of time, I started getting more work. And of course, and then I fell into dubbing a little bit. Again, because of Rajesh Sathi, he introduced me to an incredibly well-known lady who's no longer with us, which is Leela Ghosh, Mona Shetty's mother. Yes. And she took a chance on me. She took a chance. She said, "Okay." She said, "I'll spend some time with you," and I started dubbing for a Disney series at that time, which was being shown on one of the channels. I think I did 83 episodes of. It was about a fish called Stanley, and I was the fish called Stanley. And I really learned a lot there. But she invested her time because the पहली बार मैंने recording के लिए गया था. I think I took 7 hours to finish 1 or 2 episodes. I had no clue. And she said, "Don't worry about this. It'll be okay." And I think by the end, we were just knocking things off. So again, she also took a chance on me. She could have said, "We took 7 hours over this. I don't think it's going to work." But she said, "No, it's okay. I know you'll get better, and I know there's a future for you here." And then, of course, after that, Mona has always been a support. I've always done things for her. She's always called me. And what I like about Mona's a friend, but when I'm there, she's my boss. Of course, as a director. So she can tell me, this is not good, this is good, I like this, I want you to do it like this, and I will listen to her always, in spite of her being my friend out there. She'll always be the boss, and she's also incredible what she's built. So I've done a lot of stuff for sound and vision over the years as well, and they've also uh, they've also taken their risks on me or taken their chances. And I mean, I like to think that I've done good work for them, but we worked a lot over the past few years.
So when you spoke
Tell
about
me.
that, the first recording of like the dubbing, it took so many 7 to 8 hours. So I can understand that.
I think it did, because I had no. I mean, looking at the script, looking at the screen
Yeah.
at that time also, it was a small screen. Then scripts भी बहुत, मतलब वो writing भी बहुत छोटे छोटे होते थे, as in you're like, मतलब I had to read and look up as well. Luckily it was animation, तो थोड़ा leeway वो मिलता है, you can match. But later on, when you moved on to the actual, dubbing actors, then that's when also the learning really came in, coming in, starting, finishing, in between. And that's where Mona and her team of also engineers and dubbing directors, they have been a huge support, and they've taught me a lot. And I still learn from them. I have utmost respect for that whole team. There's Kalpesh there, there's Vikram,
Yes, Kalpesh
there's
Parekh,
there's Pramod, who sat through my whole Money Heist dubbing 48 episodes. So without them, I couldn't do the work that I have done.
It's an incredible role, Professor. Like still, जो हम उसका सुनते हैं Netflix पे, जो हिंदी वाला part होता है, that particular.
I know. I mean, that's a strange one, because जब बुलाया था audition के लिए, मैंने बोला, are you sure you want me, you want me to do this? They said, no, just come in, give it. And I really thought that I wouldn't be called back to do it. And then they called, and I'm like, oh my, at that time, I think it was 38 episodes then or something like that. I'm like, my God, 30 before season 5 had come out. They were doing all season 4. I'm like, 30 episodes, मैं कैसा कर सकता हूँ? And Spanish is really difficult to dub into Hindi. They speak so fast. If you speak North Indians speak Hindi fast. I mean, the Spaniards speak so fast. You're like, what do I do? ये fit कैसा हो सकता है? But those guys were there to support it, and somehow the voice just it just set in our line of work. It's not how we look; it's how our voice fits a character. I mean, you don't have to look like a Hugh Jackman or a Tom Cruise. You're just you can be 6'4", but you can be Tom Cruise's voice.
Yes.
It doesn't matter, because that voice fits that. And I didn't think about it, but I was just blown away by the reactions in India to Money Heist, the professor's part. I was just totally blown away by the amount of messages I suddenly started getting. How people were actually listening, and they were thinking of you as the character, even though it's Alvar Mote, of course, who did a fabulous job. And over 48 episodes, I think I really got to know that character. Of course, the worst thing is that it spoils our viewing, because we watch a lot of the show, but we don't watch the whole show, because we see so much beforehand. So unfortunately, that's the case here.
So in your particular case, like playing 3 different types of, not kind of characters, but, just specific genres. You as an actor, as a voiceover artist, and as a voice actor. Now, these are 3 different types of transitions.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So I can say in terms of acting, कहीं ना कहीं वो element कहीं ना कहीं जैसे voice acting में, of course, it again at the end of the day, it's acting just like behind the microphone, if I can use the right word.
No, of course it is. And I think having an acting training or a base really, really helped me, because I'd already been to drama school in London. I'd been to a drama studio in London. So वहाँ पर voice भी करते हैं वहाँ पे. So you do a fair amount, because as an actor you need that. In the UK, stage is very important. So that throw of the voice, I don't know, maybe in the US is more concentrated on screen acting. Like in UK they concentrate a lot on the voice as an actor. So that base was always there. I just never thought that I'd actually apply it to behind behind the mic. So ad voicing is completely different.
Yes.
There's acting, then ad voicing is about marketing, presenting the product. But even in that, there are other elements, different kinds. Nowadays, they ask for so many different things. Humko conversational chahiye, humko deep chahiye, humko casual chahiye. Everybody's got a tone and style then. When I started, there was like basically one promo kind of marketing brand voice. But slowly, all the other things, they slowly started coming in. So acting also helped from the basis of listening to a director. But when you went into the dubbing space, pata chala ki, you're also trying to add to a performance that has already been done.
Yes.
What can you do that, not make it better, but, try and enhance something? I mean, if you're dubbing in Hindi as well, in any language, we all speak differently. The different things. So a lot of the Hindi ones are, sir, thoda aur drama dal do, thoda aur emotion dal do, because people listening, are hearing those things. So you have to try and see where you can fit all that in. So yeah, they're all distinct differences, but I still believe they're all part of acting. Having some kind of acting training, I think, is great for any voice professional.
Yes.
Because you are still performing. It is always a performance. But I think there are a lot of people who maybe find it difficult to switch between the genres, and I don't have a problem with that. I understand ad voicing, marketing, or corporate voicing bhi hai, audio books bhi hai.
Audiobooks, of course.
Is audio and also audio dramas. Recently as well, I mean, I know I've spoken about all these other people, but I've also worked a lot with Mantra. And his Eminem talkies.
Yes,
and Mantra has also been just wonderful. He's just a magical person. And I think he has really, really changed audio dramas and audio podcasting in India within the fiction space and even some non-fiction space. He's really built something, and he's just a fantastic person to work with. Every time he calls me, I just love going in there to work. I've done Batman Unburied with him, the official DC Spotify show, which went to 7 countries, I think. So I did the Doctor Strange in that. And that was also so good to work with that. I've done Marvel Wastelanders with him. I've done Black Widow. I've done a couple of that I forget the name, Virus 2047 or something like that, the one with Richard Chadda and Ali Fazal. I've done that. Then I've done a character called Mr. Black in his series, Great Villain, which was I mean, मतलब वो एक episode के लिए बुलाया था, and they liked it so much they kept on putting him into different episodes. So it's great fun working with him and playing around with him. And I think he's also done some wonderful stuff for our industry, and allowed a lot of different people come in to do voice work. I mean, if you ever have the chance to do something with him, it's a great experience. Yeah. So yeah, these are some of the new players, but great to work with.
I remember when I got a chance to meet you for the first time in IVF. आप उनके साथ ही शायद मिलना हुआ था.
मैं बात कर रहा था. हाँ, शायद वो हाँ. Yeah, we were having a chat then.
Yeah, वहीं पे बात. So I forgot to, I just missed one point. When you started in the voicing space, which was the year? If I would like to know that specifically the year.
Yeah, so it was 2003, the same year I started acting.
Okay.
The same year I started. I shot my first ad in the industry. Within my first 2 ads, I did a couple of voiceovers. So I started both. मतलब दोनों tandem में थे. And within the voice industry, I'm always considered a voiceover guy. I can never play my actor who within the voice industry, because I started at the same time. So from studio engineers to everybody, they all know me, as a voice professional. Yeah, so I can never play that actor card. I can see a lot of actors are able to play that actor card. Sometimes it's difficult for me to do that because I started this at the same time. So मैं voice professional हूँ इस industry में for all these guys. Yeah.
All these guys. So one thing, considering the digital age, you being an actor, this voice acting, voiceovers. One thing that I found really surprising, and you again, I'll mention you being a Bollywood actor, you being so super active on LinkedIn. And I have seen so many voiceover professionals, they are like मतलब कभी LinkedIn पे शायद किसी की presence है नहीं है
मतलब
और
आप बोल रहे यहाँ इंडिया से
हाँ इंडिया से,
वॉइस ओवर
yes, yes, yes.
प्रोफेशनल हाँ
So I
ओके
have seen you, sharing your work on LinkedIn. So you are so
यस
super active on LinkedIn. So there's so many people from the fraternity who are like yet to make a presence on LinkedIn. Would you like to share your experience LinkedIn पे इतना active होना, or in terms of opportunities or what you get through, what were the benefits of that if you
हाँ आई थिंक Well, I don't know. I think approximately 1.5 years ago, I've had a LinkedIn profile, and I also saw, yeah, India में hardly any of the creative people were on LinkedIn. मतलब
yes,
actors नहीं थे या voice over professionals उतना नहीं थे. लेकिन जब हम देखते हैं जो वेस्ट में है, from the rest of the world, बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं.
बहुत सारे लोग
They're all active on it, and I was just absolutely surprised and taken aback. मतलब how active they were. So I just thought, और ये pandemic के बाद था ना, तो हम
पैंडेमिक के बाद.
yes, our thinking just changed after that. So I was just, I'm like, we are also professionals in the creative space.
Yes.
Why can we not be on LinkedIn? I know everybody sometimes look down on actors and creative people and this, matlab, they don't know much, pata nahi, but they don't understand that so many of us have finished college, done postgraduates,
Yeah,
done a bunch of other things and are acting as our choice, or are in this field of performance as a choice of work that we wanted to do. Maybe we could have gone into banking, maybe we could have gone into the corporate
course.
culture, but we didn't. And they always look down saying, usko kuch pata nahi hai, matlab wo actor hai, kya politics के बारे में, ये इसके बारे में, economy के बारे में उसको कुछ नहीं पता है. But like anybody else, so I thought, let me try and see, what I can be, not what I can be on LinkedIn. I'm pretty much the same person. LinkedIn is like more professional posting,
More
of course,
professional, yes.
But why not? And it's not magic. Matlab, you don't get work overnight, nothing like that. But I just thought I would do it and see. And yeah, I've done a bit of work from there, but my eyes have been opened by the many different kind of people I've met and interacted with around the world.
Certainly.
Just to see how they're doing things, how they're presenting themselves professionally as professional artists, which I think in India, we have no system, no coordination. So in the same way, I just thought, let me just give LinkedIn a shot to see what can happen. So I don't know if that's the answer that you wanted.
Yeah,
That's why it started.
certainly, sir. And of course, sir, in terms of personal branding, nowadays it's really fair to consider LinkedIn in terms of opportunities. Everything, your overall background, everything, of course. And so coming on another aspect, of course, जिसके बारे में आज चर्चा ना हो ऐसा हो नहीं सकता, and that is
ठीक है, okay, क्या
artificial
है?
intelligence. Artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So your perspective on that particular, specifically the voicing space.
Well, I think it's a confusing time because all this technology is quite new, especially since ChatGPT exploded. Even I'm looking at a couple of courses online, मतलब ये कैसा use कर सकते हैं, हम apply कैसे कर सकते हैं to our industry, because it's going to be part of our lives.
Yes.
We can't run away from it. So I know there's a fear. The fear is of ये सब voice cloning, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And recently, of course, ये SAG-AFTRA का जो union है US में, the entertainment union, acting union,
Strike.
voice actors part of it. Yeah, they had that huge strike and all that. All this is part. So I think something like that will make a difference to all of us. But voice is so easy to steal. All our stuff is online. But हमारे samples YouTube पे है, website पे है. We are posting our work as well. ये सब लोग ले सकते हैं, and they can do things as well. हमें क्या पता है कि ये हो रहा है कि नहीं. In fact, there's this really famous and incredible voice professional, voice actor, voiceover artist, whatever, however you want to say it, on LinkedIn called Sandy Thomas. I mean, they call him Sandy. He goes at Thomas Imaging, whatever. And he used to be the voice of Fear Factor in the US for decades. You know, I mean, he's a union voice artist. You know, has worked for absolute decades, made a fantastic living out of it, and he really posts some interesting stuff as well. Seems to be a really, really nice guy. I've messaged him a couple of times. He's messaged back as well. He said he was he put up a post the other day saying that he was driving and just put the radio on, and he heard an ad with his voice that he hadn't voiced, and he called the producers. Called them. They said, yeah, you know, we think you were busy or we didn't have the time, so we just used AI or whatever to use it for this. And he went absolutely, you know, he's like, this is not done. I mean, he has the power to do that, but he made huge posts on that. So he said, look, this can happen to me, it can happen to you. He said, we all need to stand up and stop this. Now with AI, we can all be scared, like I said, or we can try to understand it and work a way around it. After all, I'm sure we are all using AI for a whole bunch of different things, from photos to tweaking scripts and all that, you know, to
a lot of stuff.
To write, I'm using a couple of also AI enabled editing sites to put, audiograms and put a couple of things on as well. So we're using that. We're okay with that, but don't mess with us. You know, it's so we have to understand that it's also happening to everybody. So we have to come to terms with come to terms with it and really try to understand it. But maybe for a period of time, it will be worrying for everybody till things stabilize. But I think there are people who are going to steal your voice, and there's nothing we can do about it.
So I have a perception that in terms of voice cloning, there has to be some government regulation, because not just for voice acting, even for a common man, this is a threat, because there are so many scams कि किसी को फोन आता है किसी के बेटे की आवाज में that we need cash or
नहीं
something
वो
like
वो बहुत फेमस स्कैम है. मतलब
हाँ
कनाडा से एक फोन किसी ने फोन किया है और वो बोल रहे कि हमारे पास पैसा नहीं, and all that, and it's the same voice of your relative or whoever,
yeah
your niece, your nephew, your uncle. People have said that it's been the same voice. So
yes
it's different. Somebody trying to extract money from you when you're trying to UPI or Google Pay something, trying to buy a product, or something like that, and somebody's trying to scam you for that. But matlab, people are speaking in the same voice. Now that is scary, because
that is scary.
how are you going to react if my cousin is in New York and he just called me saying he needs some help, and that was him. That is a government thing, and that is crime, and that is for the authorities to take off. Yes, they also need to
Of course.
support and help.
Even in India, अगर हम Google करते हैं voice scam, voice scam thefts or AI voice scam or something like that, there are, I guess there are already more than thousands of cases registered in India also, if I'm not wrong. अगर हम उसमें जाते
Possibly. I mean, India is also a work of art when it comes to these things. So we're very good. So I'm sure it'll happen. 1.34 billion of us. There'll be a bunch of
certainly.
people doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, so not just this voice cloning or deep fake, or there are so many cases I heard about, जैसे अभी with actress
Yeah,
Katrina Kaif.
changing people's photos, everything. Now you have those. Everybody's using it. The photo will put a smile on your face and things like that. Yeah, you have to do it correct, but it can look absolutely real. So at the end of the day, it is going to be a part of our lives, but we are discovering it for the first time. So we are all the first people who are living with this.
Yeah,
So we have to work it out.
yeah, work it
Otherwise,
out, and
it will drive us crazy.
this can be only solved by, of course, as this we can call this pros and cons of AI, but certainly the cons of AI, if it is dangerous, and certainly there will be some government regulation in the future, I hope, कि in terms of cloning or taking anyone's voice, तो वहां पे थोड़ा अगर कुछ एक restriction ही आप
Hey,
कह सकते हैं.
but like I said, they have to sit down. We can't do anything until they sit
हाँ
down and do that. Maybe
certainly.
they will try and do it to protect their authority as well. That is also scary.
Yes, true.
right? I mean, that is also possible. Something like that might happen. I just had one thing that I think, people go on about the human voices, and yes, um, I think for a whole bunch of things, there'll be people who'll be using AI voicing. I think whole many things people will still go to humans because they'll want that context, they'll want that emotional change. When you go for revisions, matlab kya hoga? How will you revise it on AI? Say I
Bura
want this
matlab.
section done like this. So possibly we have to keep that into mind that the humans will still be used because clients will still want to interact with people, but of course there'll be a whole
Certainly.
bunch of people who just want that AI one to use for their films because they don't have the time. But I've also seen कि काफी clients होते हैं जो they said sir ये हम आपको मतलब फिल्म हम आपको वीडियो भेज रहे हैं और इस पे एक scratch AI voice है just for your reference, for timing, and they said just to keep so we put that on now, please, you do your thing. uh, Also, the flip side is when they send things like that, they've put it in such a timing. AI voices don't breathe, so they have a very cut timing. So sometimes, I mean, you have to explain to them that it's not the same because I'm going to go in between. The AI voices are not doing that. So I mean, the timing will not be the same. So a lot of people are using it, and then they're also hiring the professionals to do the finish work.
Okay, so yeah, as we discussed that, of course, there are like pros and cons of AI, the limitations as of now. Of course, there will be a difference between a human voiceover and AI voiceover.
And also the difference in India is because we are so unregulated as an industry more here than it will affect people in the West.
Certainly, certainly.
Because I mean, voice acting is a lonely profession.
Yes.
It's actually it's just you. And when you're an actor, आप सेट पर बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं. अगर आप 5 actors है लेकिन crew 90 है, I'm just saying it's a lot of people. Voice acting, and especially हमारे पास मतलब हमारे घर में home studio है अभी, we've all made that.
So, finally, sir, to the beginners, I'll use a specific word, who want to make a career in voice acting, voiceover. So, in terms of this particular digital age and the AI, what specific suggestion or advice would you like to give to them as a, as an experienced voice actor, voiceover professional, जो अभी इसमें अपना कदम रखना चाहते हैं इस प्रोफेशन में?
अपना कदम रखना चाहते हैं. That's nice words. Yeah. So I'm not going to talk much about AI because there's not enough knowledge about it. I will not profess to say things about AI that I don't know. As far as the other thing go, once the pandemic happened, even I was a beginner once again. It changed life. I think it changed the voicing industry in India. It also
Yes,
changed
certainly.
voicing in general because the whole world said, हम पैसा कैसे बना सकते हैं? I'll become a
Yes.
voiceover artist. That everybody thought this I can, मतलब मैं एक mic खरीद सकता हूँ और laptop है, mic है, अभी ये सब
बस.
USB mics है और मैं voiceover artist मैं बन सकता हूँ. So everybody around the world suddenly decided that they'll become a voice, and the number of voiceover actors or voiceover talent or whatever you like to call it exploded around the world. Which
Yes.
even caused professionals like, whoa. Suddenly everybody was competing with everybody, and that includes us because all the studios had shut down.
Yes.
मतलब काम नहीं था. I'm
काम
sure
नहीं
you
था.
understand, from literally overnight सब कुछ बंद for everybody as well.
Yes.
And all of us, for us especially, was so used to going to the studios. Like I said, you always think you're rock stars. You walk into a studio behind the mic, yeah, let's start, done. Take okay, all right, done. Ek chai. And chai, voiceover charcha, chai pe charcha. So one chai with the engineer, have a chat. Because voicing in studios for ad voicing is all that. Your voicing is 10 minutes, and your 20 minutes, 30 minutes waiting for client feedback, sitting, having a chat, having a chai. It's really nice. And then feedback comes, and you do a little bit more. So that was great. And I always say, we didn't know what the engineers used to do. They made you sound good. You're standing in front of a Neumann mic.
Yes.
You have huge consoles out there where they're working on Pro Tools, they're working, on these huge preamps or whatever they have out there, mixer consoles, everything. I mean, you sound great. You didn't even know ki, clicks were coming, ye mouth noise, ye sab kuch, because they never told you because they were able to remove it.
Yes.
Right? When I started doing it from home and I started in a tiny little space with nothing, I didn't know, I didn't know what to do and all that, trying to work things out. Now I built my own booth, of course, so I have my own booth as well, which is great. But even then, what do you do after that? I was using Audacity in those days. Like many of us, Audacity is great to start off with.
Yes.
It's a beyond doubt. But after a while, even that got limiting. I had to move. So then I tried Reaper for a while, which I still got the Reaper license, and then eventually I moved to Studio One.
Certainly.
And again, how did I find Studio One? Of course, I'd bought a PreSonus product, and with PreSonus, sometimes PreSonus is great because quite a few times when you buy an audio interface, you get a mic, they give you Studio Artist for free with that. So they give you your Studio Artist license, which is good enough for voicing. You actually don't need any more. But there's again another engineer called Varun Parikh, who's got a studio called Bayal Studios in Khar. And I hadn't seen, he used to be an engineer, a couple of projects I used to work with in different places, and he started his own place. And I bumped into him at a store somewhere a while ago. And he's like, "Hey, Ashwin, how you doing?" and all that. And I had a chat. And then he had a chat to me about Studio One and things like that. He said, check out Studio One. And then I realized that I had a Studio One license.
Okay.
So he also spent some time explaining things, how things work. I used to call him and say, how do I do this? What is the meaning of EQ? What do I do with compression? How do I take this? How do I take the pop off? Things like that. I'm getting clicks out. Yeah. So he was really, really nice as well. And I used to go over and meet him, and he used to explain to me what to do. And after that, I was also then wondering, I need to do more. Then I discovered this guy called Don Barnes in the US, and I did his Studio One Jumpstart courses. I bought the courses, and I learned the audio engineering for voiceover.
Specifically for voiceover.
He specializes in that, in using Studio One for voiceover actors, because all these doors are built for music mainly.
Yes,
especially something like Reaper as well. Reaper, just you have an open interface when you first open it. You have to spend ages customizing it for yourself.
Yes.
Once you learn how to do that, I know the people who are they swear by Reaper as well. There's Adobe Audition as well. A lot of people in the US use it, but I have been totally happy with Studio One. I eventually bought Studio One Professional.
Okay.
Which is like $35,000-$40,000 actually. Of course, I got it as an upgrade, so I spent less, but you have to spend that much to buy the Professional, because it gives you you can do video editing on it.
Yeah, video editing.
Eventually,
लिप सिंग वगैरह जब वो भी सब भी हो सकते हैं उसमें.
नहीं मैं लिप सिंग के बारे में मैं वो नहीं कह रहा हूँ, but generally video editing मतलब लोग भेजते हैं even for TV ads or whatever, ये ad है, इतना time है, and we need the voice at this time.
Okay, yes.
So it's not just dubbing, but it's actually fantastic. Of course for dubbing as well. I like to go into the studio dub because I like it कि dubbing director है or engineer hai, and I need those guys to get the best performance out of me. But if you want me to send a few lines, to punch in and all that, मैं कर सकता हूँ. That I can do. And if you're dubbing from home for a series, मतलब, पागल हो जाएंगे. It's really, for anybody who does that, I have the utmost respect, because it takes 3 people minimum for you to get the best performance on screen. But for ad voicing, corporate voicing, then I have my video out there. I'm very fast now, very good. I do punch and roll. Something happens, I can just punch in again. I can do a revision a year later and it'll still sound the same. But I had to learn all of this.
Of course.
So my thing is for also anybody starting out is that they have to learn all these aspects as well. And I'm sure this is not any new information. मतलब अगर लोग research करते हैं Google पे, they will find everybody also saying, you know, you have to do a little bit of learning. And I really, I'm not obsessed with which mic you have as long as you sound good.
Yes, certainly.
These days can let us, I know a lot of people, I have this, I have that. When I travel, I don't use the mic I have in my booth, but I've done TV ads while traveling from a hotel room as well.
I can assume it's a kind of it's just an assumption. Dynamic mic होगा अगर वो करने के लिए.
Assumption nahi hai, it's spot on. I use dynamic in my studio as well.
Okay.
At home, even though it is very quiet, and I've built a very nice space for myself where the sound is good, because this is India. Sound will come in.
Of course.
We live in one of the noisiest countries in the world. You know, the reason why some of the top condenser microphones are called studio microphones, because they are studio microphones.
Yes.
ठीक है. अगर तुम्हारे पास whisper booth है, you know, one of those, then fine, you can use that. But even then, you know, it picks up a pin drop. So, you know, I'm very okay with dynamic mics in India, and I've not got any complaints.
Yeah, it's giving
good audio.
Yeah.
I've sent the audio to engineers and all that, and they've been okay. As long as you have clear audio, which just sounds good.
Of course.
That is all that matters.
Yes.
Of course, for most of my clients as well now, I process it and set. So I've learned all of that. But I'm still learning. I'm still looking for the next thing that I can, you know, can learn. What are the things that you can do? Now I'm trying to make my life easier. You know, one process chain for most people. Done. But it's taken all those months of learning what that chain is for yourself. My chain is not going to be your chain. I cannot teach you that. You have to find the chain that fits your voice. If somebody says, oh, no, there's no point sending my chain to you. My chain will be completely sort of built up, completely modified to suit the way that I speak. But recently, most of the time, I've just been putting one chain and sending it because I'm fairly comfortable with that. So people have to learn all of this. I mean, really, the pandemic changed all of that. And I think you must have also done a lot during the pandemic. I can also see, you know, you've treated your space and all that. More importantly than soundproof is a nicely treated space.
Nicely treated space. So my journey actually started in pandemic. The voicing journey. Before that, in 2020, it started actually.
Were you one of the guys who said, I'll become a voiceover artist? It's you. No, I'm just joking. I know you're doing a lot of stuff and there's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, I think it's great that so many people are doing it. And hey, it's competition. It's okay. But there's always somebody else looking for you. If they don't want you, they want somebody else. It's not because you're bad or anything like that. So yeah, but I would say, you know, a kind of rebirth happened as well for someone like me in this industry. It took around 2 years of learning how to do things. Of learning, I mean, I'm sure I sent bad audio as well, you know, but I learned from that. I listened to it, learned, and I know that, now I don't know, yes, it can always still get better, but I don't think we should process too much at all.
Yeah. वो फिर थोड़ा कुछ ज़्यादा एक्सट्रैक्ट कर लेता है उसमें से, right?
हाँ उतना नहीं करना है. मतलब I mean, one has to keep it, to a nice level where something sounds good. And also, you know, my headphones are different. Your headphones will be different. You know, everything sounds different. And people listening and the thing with us as well, I mean, I use an Audio Technica headphone in my booth. Right? So, we are hearing in high definition. We are hearing a lot of things that other people don't hear.
Yes. And
sometimes we get obsessed with that. Later on, I'm playing my audio in the speakers, gaadi mein main baja raha hu, or my phone mein baja raha hu. I'm like, it sounds fine. But I was like, no, something, I can hear this, I can't. And maybe we shouldn't bother too much because we are still human. We breathe, a little sound will come in. Maybe we are too much obsessed with what other people are thinking. Can't help that. I still do it. But to make it easier for yourself, you should learn all these things to send out your audio as fast as possible. Last night I sent something to someone in the US. They'd said yes, that they do the job, but they said it very late. But they said, can you please send it to us, by this time, which meant it was at 1 a.m. at night, me doing it. I've sent it off, payment in the bank.
The best part, US dollars. Yeah.
Payment in the bank already, which is great. And I know we struggle with payments in India a lot as well. And that's really, really difficult. I'm not going to judge you for charging a different rate. It is not, India is not an easy place. We cannot charge the same way as a lot of people in the West do. There is no, we can understand how they work and try to implement their systems, but it is very difficult. If we charge the equivalent of $100 out here, they charge equivalent to $300 to $500 for that.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is. So you shouldn't get upset. And if you're charging less than me or somebody's charging more than you, you charge the way you charge, do the best work you can, and try to get the fairest price you can.
Yes.
Not every company is going to be the. Sometimes they're very small, a new company. The people I worked with many times, and later on they paid me more. But they were completely new. So I've done it at a different price, understanding that. But when a company with a certain weight and a certain money behind them comes, then you should ask for the right money. It is not fair for a big company to pay you less.
Yes. Certainly.
That you should stand your ground and possibly even lose a few jobs by saying no. But if if a local business down the road and said, Ashwin, I'm promoting my business on Instagram. I don't have 20,000 rupees, but I have 10. They're putting out one Instagram reel. I'm just saying that you can consider, the way people are talking to you, or the way people and how the company is. But don't knock yourself down for getting work and trying to earn money as well. Just don't try to sell yourself short. That's all.
That's the most
important thing. Be fair to yourself and your talent is what I think, and stand your ground at the times when they need to. I know, because here as well, मैसेज आता है फोन पे या ईमेल और व्हाट्सएप पे, सर ये है 3 फिल्म, 4 कट डाउन्स, 4 एडिट्स, they want 3 medium, digital, TV, cinema. Digital to matlab, once you've done your voiceover, it is going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can't fight that. And in fact, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to fight that because that is also my portfolio. And then they say, sir, or give us a quote for 1 year, 2 year, and perpetuity. I mean, why are you asking for perpetuity? Because you're never going to pay me perpetuity.
Of course.
I'm saying I'm saying that if I'm charging 1,000 rupees, then I will charge you 1 lakh for perpetuity. And if you multiply that. So I don't know why they're asking for perpetuity in India when they're not going to honor it. Mat pucho, because then I will give you a quote that you will not call me back. And people should aspire to getting in India. We don't have royalties, but we have license fees and things like that within the industry, especially, if you've been around, if you can implement it, you should try to get a yearly usage license.
Kind of royalty.
In a way,
license,
it's
in
a broad royalty. Matlab wo checks aata hai. If your voice was aired on TV, if your voice was aired, after these many airings, wo check bhejte hain. That's not the same in India, but at least you can try and get a yearly license fee for yourself. Perpetuity, to I hate it because why are you asking? That's all. So if you can aspire to do that, I know in India there's the people I see on Facebook as well, even LinkedIn. 1,000 rupees for the voiceover. Voiceover is 5 minutes. You will send us in wave format, 48 point this thing, this, that, everything. You are asking for the best and you are paying me 1,000. And I see so many people go, yes, I'll do it. So I think that is also too low. Don't sell yourself that short, yeah. You're going to be working for hours and hours. And in my one job, I've earned more for you in 15 minutes than you work for 1 month.
So I'm talking about this, no offense, in Facebook groups, what you said about 1,000 rupees. Now even 1,000 rupees sounds decent because 50 rupees a minute, 40 rupees a minute, 30 rupees a minute. Someone is charging
I've seen that on Facebook groups as well. LinkedIn, there's no way you can ask for.
No, LinkedIn to ho hi nahi sakta. LinkedIn ho hi nahi sakta. Facebook groups
people like, what are you doing? Yeah. No, I've seen that. And I think that's sad. That's just people exploiting the ones out there, knowing that they can get it and not paying for that.
Yes.
They're not respecting you while doing that. Then you want to say, "ठीक है, मैं करता हूँ, मैं free के लिए करता हूँ." I'm just saying that what is this 50 rupees per? In e-learning, I charge per the word. I'm just saying that there's no way. There's a lot of learning we can get from a lot of people on LinkedIn as well, and that's why I'm there. I'm not just there to present myself or promote myself, which is of course part of it, but I'm also there to learn from a bunch of people from around the world. Because that's how I move on to the next. You're saying you come from marketing background. I just did a marketing course as well. Okay. I don't know, maybe my posts have changed in the last few months. Maybe you can see posts. So yeah, I did a fairly large marketing course as well, because I didn't know. I just didn't know at all.
So sir, so I can see the conclusion of that, as in terms of for the beginners, it's like kind of the right knowledge, multitasking. A lot of factors are there, of course, in getting into voicing, multitasking.
And at the end of the day, it's just you in this industry. You got to do what you got to do. Don't always listen to every other people, because everybody's judging. There's always going to be somebody judging someone else. It's nobody else's business.
Certainly. True. So, anyways, sir, it was great to have you on Voiceover Per Charcha. This made my day. I can say this is the best starting of this year, and especially the first episode of this particular Voiceover podcast.
Thank you.
Great insights, a lot to learn from you. And knowing your, knowing at this particular stage, your inquisitiveness to learn so many things, and like really, honor to have you and inspired.
I think if you stop the learning, you'll never get ahead.
Of course,
because there's always something more to learn.
Of course.
I think that's the only message out there. I never thought I would go back to school, and I did. So I hope people understand that, and for anybody else, just do it for yourself.
Right. So, finally, sir, thank you so much, and
thank you so much. I hope I didn't ramble around, but yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was perfect to great learning in terms of interacting. Finally, son, I wish you all the best for all your future endeavors for whatever so many things you're doing in acting, in terms of voice acting, in terms of voiceover, everything, sir.
Thank you so much. I'll try and keep it going. Yeah.